Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. Sorry for the delay. Hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things that you love, those that you love to do them with. It's here, it's time, it's the Monday. No, it's not. It's the Tuesday review with none other than Johnny H3232 from Twitter fame. We got a lot to discuss. We've got Tottenham's, well, what is it, 19th defeat of the season or something. Johnny's got all the stats for us. We've got some Romero quotes that were taken out of context. Were they or were they not? We're going to go through that as well. We've got to figure out whether this one last night was on Ange, was it on the players, was it on the tactics? Was it just credit to Forest for doing what Forest do? Either way, Tottenham sit 15th, I think, in the Premier League table and still with the possibility of a Champions League run next season, believe it or not. It's quite remarkable. And it was an interesting game, Johnny. How are you, first of all, mate? How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm still, to be honest with you, I'm still knackered from the Germany trip. It was like full on 48 hours.
Where are your papers?
Huh? Yeah.
Where are your papers?
Where are your papers? 30,000 steps, 9 hours kip over 2 days, and plenty of energy dispelled, between the pub and the walk-in and the excitement of the game, and especially, afterwards. But I wasn't personally surprised we won, sure. As I said before the game, before the tie, I felt these players who have not turned up in weeks would self-motivate for their own ends, because it's a big occasion and, players rise to the game. And as I said before, all this, hugging Ange, I hugged my mother-in-law once when I got overly excited and she didn't particularly like it, but I gave her a hug. So, I wouldn't read too much into that moment. As I said, when you're in the stadium, you hug a stranger. I had fans kissing me when I came out this Frankfurt Stadium, who I'd never met before. There was no small talk, just straight full on kissing me. So,
nice, yeah.
But last night, let's be honest, after 16 minutes, we could have and should have really been 3-0 down. Had it not been for Chris Wood's armpit, we would have been 3 down. And
sloppiness.
But it's the same as what we've seen every game. We hear that he's a great orator, Ange. We hear it all the time. Terrific orator. Well, terrific orators normally inspire people. And you would think when he's sat in that dressing room and he's inspiring them, when they walk out of that dressing room, they'd be fired up to start like everything depends on it. I mean, when you watch Arsenal, I'm not talking about them, but have you seen them, how they start a game? Like their lives depend on it. Every single time they come out the traps on fire. And almost like white teams away at early doors. Shall I read these stats, Sean?
Well, hold on. Before you do, let me just quickly hello to people in the chat quickly. Chris Agomba's in the house. Good morning, Chris. Good to see you, mate. Wolves is in the house as well from Finland. Good to see you, mate. Big up, Shawnee, Johnny, and Spurs fans on chat. Good to see you, mate. Congratulations on your run of form, by the way. Incredible. Yeah. Six on the bounce for Wolves. Outside chance of a European spot, I think. We've got Blaine Devlin in the house. Good to see you, Blaney boy. What I need to nurse this rotten hangover. Big up, Sean and Johnny. Hope you're both well, guys. Well, as well as can be expected, mate. Cave Webster's saying, "What you gonna do, brother? What you gonna do?" I don't know. Talk about Tottenham, I guess. Tottenham Spurs. Big up, Sean and Johnny. Hope you're both well. Good to see you both. Good to see you too, my man. Keith, we are on British summertime now, Sean. Yeah, sorry for the delay. Mark New, big up, Shawnee and Johnny. So many chances. Shocking we couldn't score the equaliser and our defence collapsed yet again. Yeah, this is my take on it. It sounds like Johnny is going to sort of go in a little bit. Well, we'll go through the stats in a second, but it sounds like, Johnny, you're laying a lot of the blame at the feet of the manager. I personally don't. I think that I think we had more than enough chances last night to win the game, let alone draw it. And I think we played very well with the ball. But, against a team like Nottingham Forest, all you have to be is sloppy for a couple of seconds and you can get punished. And then there's no one better in the league at defending a lead than Forest, or at least most of the season that's been the case. And they've got 2 centre-backs that are just sensational in the air. And so tactically whipping the ball in 100 times, I mean, okay, it was there was enough chances in there for us to get the goals, but a little bit different creativity-wise. But there were some positives from the game in my side, from my perspective, and we'll talk about them in a sec. But I think that this one was more on the players than the manager, because I think that we had a more than enough chance and we just didn't take them. And if that is how the stats are going to look from the game stats, then I'd hope you'd agree, Johnny, but maybe you won't. I know you're going to go through some stats regarding
it's not.
Tottenham's
Sean, I've heard this so many times before. What could have been, what should have been, what might have been. Okay, you do not need 21 defeats to tell you there's something wrong. This isn't like a blip. If this was a blip, I could understand it. Look, the first 20 minutes, we never turned up. It's as simple as that. We should have been 3-0 down. In fact, we could have been 4-0 down. Okay, now that is not understanding their tactics, right? We know that Anthony, I said before the game, Anthony Elanga coming back was a massive boost for them, okay? Because he likes the ball over the top. He causes absolute havoc. And I didn't know how long he would play for because they got the RFA Cup game. He caused us no end of trouble.
But they didn't score from that. They didn't score in that breakaway. Both their goals came from set pieces.
I know. I'm just saying, but they caused problems, right? Now, also know that Forest score a lot of goals from set pieces, but they also know, and we also know, that Forest have got many, many points this season from attacking and scoring an early goal and sit back on that lead and allowing teams to attack us. I think at one stage in that first half, we put in 25 crosses, but Milenkovic and Murillo just dealt with them all day long. They were never, I think we connected with about 3 of them. Richalison should have done better with one of the early ones in the first half. Sorry, late in the first half. And there was another one that came across, which was poor. There was Tell's effort, which he had and blazed over the bar. But other than that, Sells made a good save from Udogie. So, yes, there were chances. I'm not going to deny there weren't chances. But, you can't afford to be going 2-3-0 down in games. They invited us on. They were quite happy for us to have the ball. I mean, they had, I think, 30% of possession, something like that, 35%.
Yeah,
very little. Yeah.
Are the stats that you want to read out, are they stats around Tottenham's season or are they about the game specifically?
The season, right?
Okay, let's start with the game specifically, and then we can come into the.
So the game per se.
Let me get it.
Let's do the game. Let's do the game. Okay.
Here we go. Can you see this on the screen? Not yet. 1 sec.
I can read them out to you. I've got them here.
So that's the sort of the possession and the trend, if you like. Look at that. They had 2 moments, 2 goals. Everything apart from that. I mean, the second half was just all Tottenham, and from about the 20 minutes on, it was just all Tottenham basically. And that's the tail of the tape for Nottingham Forest.
That's typical Forest. So they had 30% of the possession. We had 70. We had 22 shots, of which only 6 were on target. They had only 4 shots, which 3 of them were on target. Okay, we had 12 off target. We had 526 passes to their 243. They had 1 clear-cut chance. We had 3, but we had 4 block shots, 10 tackles won. They won more aerial duels, and the keeper made 4 saves.
Look at that on the screen, though, Johnny. Look at that from a shots perspective. Right? How many shots there inside the box that are off target? 1.
They should have. Yeah. Well, 1, I just said to you.
2, 3, 4,
12,
5, 6. Yeah, but I'm saying inside the box. 8, 9. I think there's 9 shots or 10 shots there that are inside the box that are off target. That's unforgivable, especially that one there from Richie. How did he miss that one?
Which one?
That one on the screen where he's headed the ball. He's 2 yards out, and Pape Sarr is the only one near him, and he ends up like 10 yards wide of the post. I mean, just horrendous. Matisse Tell gets a shot from out on the left hand side out here somewhere. Right. One of these, and he blasts it
over the bar. Yeah.
I mean, it was just that one there as well. Look at that one. I mean, he's ended up by the corner flag. He's on the 6-yard box.
Who's that?
On the 6-yard box, and I don't know who that was. And he's ended up on that. I don't know who that was.
I think that was no, that was. I'd say exactly that was Pape Matar Sarr.
That's right. And then there's this one here as well. That I mean, you can't have that many shots inside the box and only get a couple of them on target. It's just outrageous. Outrageous.
Look, I'm just saying to you, there were some very strange things. Look, I'm not going to go into it, but Richalison, having not played for months, you do not play a player who hasn't played in months for 90 minutes, okay? He talks every single bloody week how he's got to ease players in after injury. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet he doesn't ease him in, doesn't give him a single minute against Frankfurt, and plays him 90 minutes. You could see he was struggling after about 75. You know, why is he still on the pitch? Every time the ball came up, I'm thinking, why is he still there? And you wonder why they break down and get injured again. And yet, that was his 4th goal in 5 games. Okay? 4th goal in 5 games. And he's hardly played any minutes. And Solanke has scored 1 goal, a penalty, since January the 4th. So, you know, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, if Richarlison is shocking and useless, bearing in mind that he's been out for months, what does that make Solanke with 1 penalty? Oh, he runs hard, he presses hard, he works hard. Well, so does Richarlison. But it's about goals. And neither of them, in my opinion, have delivered what they should have delivered as Spurs players. I'm sorry, neither of them.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the cost of both of the players is negligible. It's still at the top end. For me, I just think Richarlison isn't... Look, don't get me wrong. I think Richarlison's a threat. He's a handful in the air. He's probably more handy in the air generally. I thought last night he had a stinker with his chances. He could have had a hat-trick last night. I mean, first of all, credit... Not all of the chances that he missed were not... I mean, there was a couple of them that were on target. He did a fantastic job with a flicked-on header that Sells got down to and
I don't know how he got
away. I don't know how he got down to that one. You have to. I think Sells was the man of the match, right? So that in and of itself tells you a tale of the tape.
And the toe poke, which he somehow managed to save. Richie was stretching for.
Yeah. No, look, so, like I say, I don't necessarily think all of Richie's not faux pas, but all of Richie's missed opportunities last night were down to him. I think he did it good enough with a couple of the chances that Sells was just equal to. But one of them, the cross from Porro was sensational, the header was sensational, and the save was sensational. So just good football all round. But just generally speaking, mate, I think of the 2 players between Solanke and Richarlison, I have a lot more faith with Solanke's all-round game, his first touch. Richarlison in the first half came deep a few times, and he was frustrating me because the weight of his passing was off. It was either too light or too heavy when he was coming deep and trying to feed in Odebear and Matisse Tell. I don't think that he's the guy for me. You know how I feel about him, but I felt that way since he was at Everton. I got someone on Twitter criticising my post last night when I said, you know, I gave my summary viewpoints, and I said I don't think that Richarlison's the guy. I haven't forever, so sell him in the summer. And then someone came in with sort of like your kind of tone and with the sort of stats there: 4 goals in 5 games, first game back, playing 90 minutes, been out for months, and you want to sell him? You want to sell Richie now? And I was like, mate, I wanted to sell Richie when he was at Everton. You know, so like he's just not the player for me. But I don't think all of his missed opportunities last night were his fault. I think some of them you have to just give credit where it's due to the Forest.
Listen, I'm not going to make excuses here, but you know, we've seen with every single player when they come back after a long injury, right? You know, look at Maddison. Look at he gets given all the time in the world, and he's back given 20 minutes, half an hour, 50 minutes, whatever, and they expect him to play last night for 90. Look, I'm going to give you the Ange stats, okay? These are the Ange stats for...
Is this on your Twitter so I can get it up in front of me, or is it?
No, is on my Twitter.
Let me see. Okay, let me find it for us.
I think everyone's been using it this morning.
Have they?
Yeah.
When did you put it out there?
I put it out 3 hours ago.
Oh, so it's this morning.
It's the one. It's the one before.
Oh yeah, I got it. Okay. Let me get this up then. Present, share screen, Johnny H. Bang. And then
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Bish bash bosh.
Okay. Walk us through it, mate. Walk us through it.
Okay, so this is Ange Postecoglou's record-breaking stint as Spurs manager. So 35 defeats since November the 5th, 2023, and our 10-game unbeaten run. That's some record in itself, 35 defeats. 22 defeats in all competitions this season. The most home games conceded first in the calendar year, 2024. We went 1-0 down in 15 home games during 2024 calendar year, the most ever by a Premier League team in a single calendar year.
Jesus Christ.
Worst home winless run since 2008, 2024. We went
last time we won a cup.
Yeah. We went 5 straight home matches without a win in the Premier League. Our longest winless run at home since 2008, a year that also saw us pick up the lowest Premier League points, 52 in a calendar year, which we're going to fall short of.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
In a calendar year, 2025. In the first 11 games of 2025, we've faced 167 shots on goal, averaging over 15 per game. This is more than 40 shots higher than any other Premier League club in all competitions during that period, including the relegation sides. On course for our highest number of losses in a single Premier League season, with 18 currently, and 19 being our worst ever under Ozzy Ardiles, which will be equalled if we lose to Liverpool. Most goals conceded in a calendar year since 2008. Longest run of consecutive Premier League defeats in 16 years of 24-25. We had 4 consecutive Premier League losses between late January and early February 2025, a streak not seen since 2008-2009.
That was Ramos, was it?
Yes, I think it was. Most goals conceded in all competitions in a season. By February 2025, we had conceded 57 goals across 39 games in all competitions, averaging over 1.5 goals per game, a figure worse than all but Leicester and Southampton. 3 North London derbies lost in a row for the first time since 1989. This has not happened in 36 years, but it happened under Ange. Our worst points tally at this stage of the season since 2009, 16 years. 0-0 with a part-time side, 96 players below us in 90 minutes. A club who have literally had part-time footballs working in retail. We've now lost 6 games pre-international break periods against Wolves, Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton, Ipswich and Fulham again. We have faced more shots in 2025 than any other team in the Premier League. Our only home wins in 2025 have come from relegated Southampton and Manchester United. Jesus. We have now lost the most home games in our history, 8 in a standard 38-game season.
Just quickly on that one before about the Man United and Southampton, was that Man United game in the cup or is that in the league?
I think it was in the league.
Okay.
We are currently on track to lose 20 games in a single season, the most ever recorded, and our Premier League points per game average is now the lowest, 1.11. And I just put, please stop making excuses for the worst managers we've ever had. Regardless if we win the Europa League trophy, it will be despite him, not because of him.
It's interesting, though, the amount of correlation there to 2008, isn't it? When the last time we won we won a cup.
Yeah, I was going to. I thought about putting that at the end, but I thought I've got enough. It's enough.
It's enough to chew on. I mean, it's quite incredible. How's that tweet doing, by the way? Yeah, nice. It is
22,000 views.
How many?
22,000 views.
Yeah, wowzers. Is that, and what does that say? Is that who we are, mate? It's the who we are, mate thing, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Look, it's hard to. I mean, it's hard to look at that. I'm guessing even if you were the most loyal Ange fan.
Oh, they're all there. Sean, they've all been on my timeline this morning.
Let's have a look at the comments, shall we? See what's going on in the comment section.
It's been
oh, come on. We just got through to the UL semi-final and there's no way in hell the defeat is down to him yesterday. We absolutely destroyed and dominated Forest. But if they
And
win
this
Europa,
guy-
you'll remember him for the coach that won the club's 4th European trophy in their history. Your long list will be forgotten. I stand by Ange. People are still backing this fraud. Trophy or not, he still has to go. I'm bracing myself for a heavy defeat on the plastic pitch. Just look at Bodo's wins there. Ange must think about his career. Lose to Bodo. No one will employ him.
Look, I can't wait. I can't wait for the excuses to roll in from the usual crowd. They did.
He'll match the games lost in the season Sunday on par with Aussie. Yeah. Looks familiar, this. Is he claiming it, is he?
Oh, it's Jay. I know Jay, so it's fine.
Aussie
be willing 2 more losses. Who's that unvaxxed? What was he saying?
I feel sorry for Ange. He's out of his depth of knowledge on how to manage the Premier League team. Obviously, all he's got now is a strange attitude. Yeah, his attitude is very grumpy, isn't it? He's really not enjoying it. What's interesting, though, I was just looking at this. Let me see if I can pivot back to this. Share this tab for a second. If you go back to Tottenham Hotspur, like this season, we were doing all right until about the 13th game. No, mate, sorry, the 12th game. When was the 12th game? Probably that was. Let's have a look.
You mean drawing with the mighty Leicester?
How do we go? How do I go back here?
Do you remember how many shots we had against Leicester and couldn't put the ball in the net? Do you remember that game?
Yeah. I do. Yeah. So, where's the? The 12th game in the league would have been. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So basically, we were hanging on in there until about the Ipswich game, and then from there, just everything fell apart. We beat Villa, and then Ipswich City. That's when it all fell apart, wasn't it? We went on that horrible run, then draws and losses. Yeah,
losing at home to Ipswich, losing to Bournemouth, losing to Chelsea, struggled against Rangers, and then we're back. I remember all the messages when we beat Southampton 5-0, like we had just won, a trophy that day.
Yeah.
And then it was back to normal.
Then Liverpool, then Forest, then we drew with Wolves, lost in that was that run, that horrible run. Then we had the moment against it. Then everyone was happy for a second.
Yeah. Then Tamworth, that guy who missed the chance in the 93rd minute in the box.
To send us out. Yeah.
Otherwise, that would have been our worst defeat since 1912. Let's be honest. Coventry were on the verge of knocking us out of the Carabao Cup. We only got through on an 88th minute goal by Jed Spence to get us the draw.
Yeah. But at the same time, mate, when was the last season that Tottenham got to 2 semi-finals in a season? Because not that I'm making a defence for him, but just this is like an impromptu devil's advocate just crack here. But I'm sure that someone somewhere, the staunchest Ange-ophile, could probably find some stats, some statistics, some ability to be able to sit there and put together a list. Maybe not as long as yours, maybe not as damning as that.
Right,
but
look. If you're gonna take the cups in isolation, he's done very well. But if you look at the cups in isolation last year, it was fucking embarrassing. I mean, we went out to Fulham on penalties when he made 9 changes. 9 changes. This is a guy that can't rotate, right? He makes 9 changes against Fulham, right? When we should have beaten them because they were in a mess at that time. They just lost all their players. And then we went out to, was it Man City? We went out both games. We only played 41 games last season. And he was bemoaning that he has no games. And that's why all the results were bad, because he's had
This year we underestimated how the fixtures
too many
games. Last year it was too few. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah, there's not much. Look, I've said 1,000 times that he's definitely a smooth, silver-tongued man who knows how to defend whatever is going on. But look, at the same time, mate, I mean, I still stick to like it's interesting that whole 2008 correlation there. Like, is it predictable that we go on and win the cup? You have to let him stay, and then he's gone by November anyway.
So I've said this countless times. I do not want another Ten Hag moment where he wins a cup, everyone's called him for his head. He wins the FA Cup. How can you sack him? So they then give him another bunch of money, a whole heap of money, right? He wastes all of it. Okay. I'm not a big lover of Ange's purchases on the whole. And I fear that if you allow him to stay, we're going to hear more stories, more abuse of our kids. I mean, this comment here about Archie Gray. Archie this, Archie that. Good old days. What the hell is Ange doing to Archie Gray? All right.
Was that sorry? Oh, sorry. That was the one that's been on the screen for a while. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So basically, Ange relied on him non-stop. Every single game, 33 games over, played him to death. Now the kid can't get a game. Micky Moore comes on and he scores a goal, an assist, what have you, and then we don't see him again for dust. And I've never believed he's really, about our academy. Because let's be honest, the only players that are playing are the ones that have been signed. None from the academy, really, and now are now getting. And I think Archie Gray, with all his commitments, I mean, let's be honest. Davis got a game last night. Danso got a game.
Should have played Danso from the get-go, mate. When you're up against Chris Wood, you know what Nottingham Forest are going to do. You know what they're going to do. They're either going to break hard. And I think that to be entirely honest, I don't think Tottenham were that sloppy with possession throughout the game. I think we held on to possession for the most part. I think we defended well against their counter.
Yeah.
But in the like you said, right? Like there's three ways that the Forest hurt you. One is they get an early goal and then they just sit in and just do it very well. Two is they break fast and punish you. And three is Chris Wood's aerial threat. And, you snuffed out one of them. You couldn't break down the other. But again, not necessarily through Angie's fault. I think that's just conversion. But the third one was just sloppy. And I don't think you needed to take the risk with Micky and Romero anyway, given that if one of those got an injury, then you're in real trouble for the Europa League thing, right? And so, in that game, do you really, in a scenario where you're worried about them counter-attacking you and breaking, then you're going to rely on Micky van der Ven to stretch his legs and to get back and to try and chase down Anthony Elanga and all that. And that, in and of itself, is putting, the cart before the horse for our priority. So for me, I think that it was obvious that Danso should have played, because I think arguably Danso's, I don't know the stats if it backs it up, but from the eye test, I think he's the best aerially of the four centre backs that we had available to us, and I doubt we would have had the same situation. I mean, the positional sense for that second goal that they scored, or third goal, the second goal. I mean, what Pedro Porro was doing, he was following his man around, and then suddenly just let him track out to the side, and then even when he chased after him, he then didn't get touch tight. I mean, Pedro Porro, that was just absolutely atrocious from Porro defensively yesterday in that moment. But it's not just that. The ball then gets crossed in, and no one's within 6 feet of Chris Wood. And also, he's in the 6-yard box. I didn't elect to not mention Vicario. I just forgot to mention Vicario in my summary yesterday. Vicario was shocking.
Yeah, he was terrible at fault there.
I don't think he is not, for me, he's a guy that saves the unsavable, but then lets a very even the first goal, the deflection helped him. If the deflection didn't happen, the trajectory of that ball was going top bins, and yet he was diving down low. So it would have been embarrassing had it not hit Bentancur's thigh and deflected lower, because it would have just sailed over the top of him into the top bins. So I don't know what he was doing for that, because he'd already started the dive before the deflection happened. So he wasn't reacting to the deflection. I just think he's a goalkeeper that's going to be, in moments he might keep you in a game, but you can't have a goalkeeper that's a moment's keeper. You need a goal. It's the same with Man United with Onana. You know, capable of unbelievable saves, but they all are because that's why they're all every goalkeeper at that level. But you look at someone like Sells, or you look at someone like the Villa goalkeeper, what's his name? Martinez. Just consistent, reliable, knows how to distribute, doesn't let you down really. If you're going to concede a goal as an Aston Villa goalkeeper, Martinez doesn't make mistakes. He gets beaten by well-placed shots and good, solid build-up play that has a good conversion. He doesn't make mistakes. Whereas I just feel like Vicario is capable of brilliance, but capable of stupidity, and that's just not. You can't build a foundation of your team for a Premier League campaign with goalkeepers that are sloppy in that regard.
Well, listen, not only that, I think people seem to be forgetting that Nottingham Forest had an FA Cup semi-final coming up on Saturday, and they took off Alanga at half time. They made a lot of subs with one eye on the semi-final, and that's why you saw them, giving away so much possession. Because I can tell you, if Alanga had stayed on, and Morgan's Gibb White had stayed on, and others had stayed on, Anderson came off, Morgan's Gibb White came off, Alanga came off. These are a lot of their threats. They took off Chris Wood for Aeno near the end. But my point is, in a normal game, had that been the only game of the week, those players would have been playing 90 minutes. And they didn't really have an outlet in that second half, which is why we had so much possession. Listen, there was another effort. I can't remember who it was, cleared it off the line. The ball was going in. And
that one. Yeah, that one. That was cleared by Neco Williams, wasn't it?
Was it Nico Williams? Because I was at the ground, so I didn't have commentary. I think it was Williams.
Maybe it was Dominguez. I'm not sure. But yeah, he.
It was a great clearance. It was a great
clearance. Yeah. Was that another one from? Who was that from? That was a Richie. No, it wasn't Richie. That was. Was that a Romero header?
No, I think it was Kulu.
Kulu, that's it. Yeah, Kulu flick. Yeah, Kulu flick. Yeah. Yeah, look, we had more than enough. That's why I'm not going to sit here and say
Richie's head was a good goal. I was going to say Richie's goal was actually a really good header.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, as was the other ones that he had. He should have scored the one that Pape Matar sort of interrupted him on.
It was embarrassing.
That was unforgivable. The fact that you're 2 feet out and you missed the goal by about 12 feet is quite impressive. But yeah, the one that was cleared off the line from Decky, the other flick on from Richalison, you had Odobier's shot, I think it was.
Odobier's Tells one which he blasted into row Z.
Tells one. We could have won that game 5-3, 5-2, 5-3, on another day. And it was a good game of football, to be honest. I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed the kind of chess match of it all. But ultimately,
like I said, whereas we say, we were resting players for our game in another 10 days, whereas, they're resting players for a massive FA Cup semi-final, but also want to get the championship. How many points are we going to end up on?
Who have we got left to play? Let's have a look.
Aston Villa, Liverpool, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Brighton, I think it is, isn't it? Let's have a look.
We have. Oh, hang on. Before that. So Liverpool, Bodo. So Liverpool, yeah. So nil point there. And then West Ham away. Fucking hell.
That's after Bodo, isn't it?
Yeah, between them, yeah. So you've got Bodo, you've got West Ham away, which Tottenham are going to rest players for, and the Tottenham fans are going to be furious if we end up losing to West Ham. Especially if we end up not.
They'll go above us. They'll go above us.
They'll go above us as well. So yeah, I'd say probably a point there. So 1 point for me. Palace. I mean, again, it will depend on what happens on the Thursday, but probably you'd hope 3 points there. Villa away, nil point, and Brighton. Fuck knows. A draw. So maybe 5 more points. 6 more
Which would
points.
take us to 42?
42 or 43 points. And what's the lowest on the history?
50. I think it's 50, isn't it?
Fucking hell. Teams have been relegated with less points with more points than 42.
I know. I mean, when you look at the fact that we've taken 1 point from Leicester, we've only taken 3 points from Ipswich. Yeah, we took 1 point from Wolves. I mean, look at those teams there. Look,
18 defeats.
Yeah, I mean,
18.
I know. Look, only Ipswich, Leicester. We only lost 2 more games than Ipswich. You know, let's be serious here. And the one win there, which is the big green thing that everyone will be referring to, was Southampton, who we only put away. Let's be honest. At the 90th minute, it was 2-1. We broke and they brought us down for a penalty. Anything could have happened. When that ball went in and it was 2-1, let's be honest, the stadium went silent. Everyone was thinking, oh no, surely not. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. Beaten by Palace, beaten by Everton, beaten by Wolves. I mean...
yeah, not good enough. Look at the run that Wolves are on. They've really pulled themselves out, haven't they? 15 points from the last 5 games.
Yeah.
They were on 20
good manager
points. They were just ahead of Ipswich about 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Ipswich had gone on one of those runs as well? And then we're suddenly getting dragged into it.
Well, I mean, you know, listen, they bought sensibly, whereas Leicester and Southampton have made no effort to really stay up with their purchases. Ipswich have at least bought Liam Delap, Amari Hutchinson, and the like, young players with, you know, good sell-on value. Personally, I would have Delap in my team.
Same. Yeah, same.
So, but listen, it's a sorry state of affairs. And look, I just think that the Europa League is a giant sticking plaster over a huge gaping wound that's been there since November the 5th. I will say it again, since November the 5th, 2023, after our 10-game unbeaten run where we thought the world is our oyster, we have lost 35 games. It's unacceptable. You know?
Let me switch to the positives though from last night.
Yeah. Tell and Odegaard.
Same. Yeah. Very few other positives to mention. I thought Jed Spence was good going forward. Linked up well with Tell. Like, it's nice to see that there's a relationship that can be forged between those two. Yeah. Destiny Udogie and Tell have forged that relationship. For me, Matisse Tell right now, people are going to say, where's the output? But Matisse Tell, I was saying this on the watch along yesterday. I think that like last night demonstrated, I think to me, from a couple of positions, couple of players who think that their chance of playing in the Europa League final, if we get there, is up for grabs, right? And I think Matisse Tell is sitting there going, you know, I know that Sonny's the boy, right? So if I want my spot when Sonny's fit enough, I need to really prove my worth here. And he looked energetic, hungry, and effervescent, and really, really enjoyed getting on the ball, wanted it all the time, ran his socks off. I don't know how long was he on the pitch for. I don't think he finished the game, did he? So like 70 minutes or whatever it was, 60 minutes. I thought he was excellent. And I thought for the first time, Johnny, I've seen the Tottenham be able to attack on 2 fronts, you know, which is really useful because if you're predictable in that you're not going to go down the right-hand side with Brennan Johnson. Johnson's better at just being a back post merchant and, you know, waiting for Sonny to whip the ball in or whatever. You know, that stuff becomes predictable from a defensive setup standpoint, whereby you know that, okay, when Tottenham attack, they're going to attack probably down the left. So if you can nullify Sonny or if he has a bad day, then you're going to nullify a lot of Tottenham's threats. And all you got to then do is just mark out Brennan Johnson, which, you know, most teams haven't done particularly well this season. But that's essentially the kind of recipe with how to defend against Tottenham when they have the ball. And last night I saw we had probably, I don't know if I got it, if it will show it on the screen, the balance of play, the heat map or whatever. Let me see if I can find it. But it looked to me like we were more than comfortable going down both sides with Wilson Odebear and with Matisse Tell. Both of them happy to take pot shots from distance. Both of them happy to cut in and come narrow. Both of them happy to take their man on plenty of times. And to me, that's everything that I've wanted to see from our width since Ange Postecoglou came in. The system required those sorts of players, and we didn't have it with Brennan Johnson as a take-on specialist. He's not that sort of player. He isn't a close control guru. And Sonny obviously used to be, but really isn't these days anymore, at least not consistently enough. And to me, I think that, I know Richie's your boy. And like I say, I think that Richie could have had a hat-trick last night. He got a goal and it was a good goal.
He didn't play well. No one's going to,
Yeah, I don't think he was spectacular by any stretch. And I do think that Solanke is a bit of a better networker. I think he connects the dots a lot better than Richalison does. But for me, like I agree with you that we need someone. Sorry,
he hasn't shown it. The numbers are about scoring and winning games. We haven't been winning games, nor has he been scoring. So I know,
but in terms of my point was what I would like to have seen was having Odebear and Matisse Tell with Solanke being able to thread a little bit better in terms of him coming deep and then picking those passes. I think he's better at it than Richarlison was. So I think that front three for me is my preferred front three in the Bodo games. So for me, on that basis, then Brennan Johnson goes to a bench position, as does Sonny. But I know that's not going to happen. I think the second Sonny's back is the second Sonny comes back in. But that's a problem for me.
So I have Champions League final vibes again. I'm getting them all over again. Where Maddison comes in and he gets us to the final, because I believe we will make the final, because the Bodo Glimt are missing their captain, their top goal scorer, and one of their midfielders from the first game.
Can we confirm for sure? Because we had this debate last night. Do the yellow cards carry?
No, they're 100% out.
They are, right? Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
I trust you. Last night the watch along, we had like me and the comments had a massive debate because everyone was like, "No, Chris Cowlin said it's definitely out." I was like, "So what does Chris Cowlin know? He doesn't know more than anyone else." But Ali Gold said it doesn't carry. I was like, "What does Ali Gold know? Like, who knows? Who knows, Johnny?"
Patrick Berg, who's their best player and their captain, he's out. Akon Evgen and Hemarison all suspended. The last one was sent off against Lazio, while the other two picked up the third. So Hemarison is the guy who scored the goal, I believe. But I've got vibes that you're going to have Matisse Tell get us to the final, and I believe we will get to the final. And he's going to bring in Sonny. And he's going to put Sonny back in, and we're going to see Tell sat on the bench.
That's outrageous.
But you know it.
Yeah, I know. Of course you know it. Of course you know it. Of course you know it. But it's not okay. That's not okay. Just like I don't think it's okay, as much as I agree with everyone who thinks that Ange Postecoglou doesn't deserve next season regardless of the cup, and I hear that, and I completely share and believe the exact same prescience of what will happen next season. He'll start the season and he'll get sacked. I still just think on a basis of a meritocracy, which I think that the world should work towards as best you can, and as many examples as possible, whereby if you earn it, you get it in life, then I think that Ange, he doesn't deserve the season based on his league form, but the fact that he'll be the most successful Tottenham manager in 45 years, if your determination of success is trophies, right? Which I don't necessarily think it is. And again, Simon Jordan and I speak from the same hymn book all the time. I was listening to Jordan this morning, who was saying, isn't it an interesting tale when he was saying, he was using Arsenal as the example. He was saying, don't think that winning the Champions League is as precious or as valuable as the Premier League. Look at Tottenham. They could be playing Champions League football next year for winning the Europa League and finishing 17th place in the Premier League. What does that tell you about either the quality of the Premier League or the quality of Europe, right? And like one or the other, or both things can't be true. And so that's why I hark back to those days, those debates I used to have 2-3 years ago about Daniel Levy, where top four isn't a trophy. Okay, it's not a trophy. And if your only measurement of success is, win a season with a trophy equals success, a season without a trophy equals failure, the kind of league gunner simplification of football method. Like, I just don't subscribe to that, because I think that the best barometer of where you are as a football club is your league position. And when Tottenham finished 4th in the strongest league in the world, but didn't lift an FA Cup, and as I've gone through a million times, Johnny, and I've shown the evidence to support it, like the trophy success ratios get fewer and fewer. The 90%, the 92% of all trophies won by 5 teams, all that stuff. Like, it's a different methodology to lift a trophy than it is if the trophy is a cup competition, not the Premier League, than it is to do well in the Premier League. And I think that finishing top 4, generally speaking, gives you a good vibe throughout the season, because to finish 4th, you're going to win, or you're going to be, you're going to be taking points from about 80% of your games, right? So you're going to be 80% of the Saturdays and Sundays in your fixture list. You're walking away a happy person. Whereas a season like this, if we win the Europa League, are people going to really reflect on this season the way that they always thought they would do when they were moaning about Daniel Levy not lifting enough trophies?
Sean, right? Look, I live in the moment, week to week to week to week, right? And it's pain, pain, pain. I'm not going to sit here and say to you, I don't want to win a trophy. I believe we will win this trophy. Don't ask me why I've maintained that I feel we will win it. I reckon it's just destined. All the stars are aligned. There's no...
but are you going to reflect on the season as a success, though?
Hang on. Right. I will say to you that no one will remember the shit show that's gone, because it will be a distant memory, because the highlight will be we walked away with the Europa League win and we're in the Champions League. This is a massive sliding door moment for the club, the biggest probably in the last 20 odd years. Why? Because if we win, not only do we then go into the Europa League, and the riches, the massive riches that await us in that competition due to the new format, where the money is just ridiculous. But combine that with the lift between 6 and 30 non-football events, this club becomes a financial behemoth, and suddenly everything looks completely different. Players will not want to leave when they know there's guaranteed Champions League football. It has a different...
The veneer changes.
Lifted. The darkness 100%. Is lifted.
And you've got a team of 22-year-olds on average, 23-year-olds on average, that have all got a Europa League trophy in their personal locker.
19, some of them.
Some of them 19, right? Insane what that victory can do. But I would hazard a guess that people will not reflect on the season as...
You can't forget it though, Sean. How can you look? My point here is that I will wish him well. I will shake his hand if he was in front of me, and I would say, well done. But I honestly do not believe that this is the guy to take us to the next level, Sean.
But he's not going to walk away, is he? A lot of people saying they want him to say thanks very much, fuck you, Tottenham fans, you didn't believe in me, and I'm done. And he's never going to do that, is he? He's not going to give up 5 million quid.
Look, there's lots of scenarios here. Look, you and I both said he's the guy before the guy. Okay, we've been saying it for months, longer than that. And
before he was the guy.
Yeah, before he was the guy.
Before he was even named. It doesn't matter who the next person is. That person will not be the guy.
I just think that also there's this scenario whereby, this romantic notion that Poch will come back. And by getting him back, you run the risk. Do you take the risk of making Ange see out his contract for his final year, 3rd year of his contract, which takes him to 2026, the end of the World Cup, and we welcome Poch back as the manager? The trouble is, this guy is not capable, in my opinion, of managing a team in the Champions League. He does not have the tactical nous. No one's going to tell me he has the tactical nous to... Listen, this is a guy that lost to AZ Alkmaar. Galatasaray struggled at home against AZ Alkmaar, beat a shitty Roma team, drew with a shitty Roma team at home, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe that this guy has the tactical nous.
Do you know what, mate? Just on that quickly. Sorry to interrupt, but just quickly on that point. When I was watching, when Tottenham won the penalty against Frankfurt, and Matisse Tell picks the ball up, right? Everybody in the pub knew what was going on there. Everybody in the pub went, Matisse Tell isn't taking the penalty. He's just doing what all the big clubs do now, which is protect the actual penalty taker until he has to give the ball, right? Ange Postecoglou panicked. Ange Postecoglou thought that Matisse Tell was taking the ball to take the pen, and he's going, Dom, Rob, give it to Dom. Give it to Dom. Oh, okay, cool. And we didn't see whatever the player who he was talking to said back to Ange, but Ange's reaction was like, okay, chill. It was like, mate, you're the manager. You should be the one in the dressing room saying that tactic, invoking that tactic. If you get a pen, protect the penalty taker from the kind of cricket sledging that goes on, right? All the banter, protect him by someone else picking the ball up and let him be the recipient of it. But Ange didn't see that. Ange thought that Tell was literally taking the ball because he wanted to take the pen. I'm like, to your point, he's not tactically, he's not really on the leading edge, is he, of tactical knowledge?
Listen, look, all I know is last night, where it could have been 3-0 after 17 minutes, I flipped to the bench. I'm looking at Nuno going mental at Nico Williams, right? Shouting at him about something or other, right, that he wasn't happy with. They should have been 3-0 up, right? 17, 18 minutes this was. I look at Ange. We're 2-0 down. We're in an absolute dog shit mess. And he's just standing there staring into space. I mean, this is the first time that no teams have dropped down from the Champions League, have dropped out. Normally, there's some really good teams that drop down, okay? The format's completely different. We've been very fortunate in our draw, okay? We've had Hoffenheim, we've had Elfsberg, we've had AZ Alkmaar.
Carrier
bag. You know,
I think Carrier bag finished bottom of the entire league, didn't they?
They did. We've been extremely lucky. And let's be honest, right? You know, going to Lazio is a lot tougher than going to Bodo Glimt. I know they play on a plastic pitch, but you know, Lazio is an intimidating, nasty place full of fascists and God knows what else there. It's not a nice place.
Where are your papers? Where are your papers?
It's in Germany. I'll tell you what, the Germans were all ready for us. Honestly, I didn't see any police smiling away at us.
Yeah. But listen, I just want to get some clarification here. So you think that if we finish 17th and lift the Europa League and get into the Champions League, and I agree with you about all of the transformation of confidence and the money and all those things. I agree with you on all that stuff. I've been saying it.
Yeah,
completely agree that it's a transformational sliding doors moment. But in terms of the way that, just remember when we got to the Champions League final, I remember thinking that season was a shit show in the league, but actually we finished 5th that year in the league, right? So it wasn't that bad. But by Tottenham's recent standards, it was disappointing relative to the years before where we finished 2nd and 3rd, etc. Right? So, but I don't believe that people are going to reflect on this season, or at least the subsection of the fan base that, you know, without trying to invoke criticism here or anything, it's just an observation on my part. But the ones that are permanently miserable, the ones that would find a reason to moan regardless. I don't think that they're going to be celebrating. I mean, obviously, we'll celebrate the league. Don't get me wrong. We'll celebrate in the moment. But like I always say, you're not the one lifting the trophy. You're not a winner because you ascribe expectations of people that you don't have any control over. But you're not the moment is you lift the trophy, you party for a day or two, and then the trophy gets put in the cabinet, and then you start again. And I just think that it would be different if we were 8th or 7th and competitive over the season, but not quite up to where we were hoping for, but then you go on a cup run. But given how consistently shit this season has been, I don't think people will remember this year in 3 years as the year we won the Europa League. I think it will be the year that we almost got relegated, or the year that we finished 17th.
Listen, I will tell you that despite the jubilation at the final whistle, despite strangers kissing strangers, and hugging and jumping up and down and having their best celebration in years, not one person sung, "Oh, Ange Postecoglou"? No one.
Yeah,
No one, right?
And they won't sing it if we win the final either.
Listen, let me tell you something, right? This is a guy who has attacked fans repeatedly, right? Who has gone into these press conferences and spoken about us like we're dirt, right? Like we don't know what we're talking about. Like he's been lying to us. He lies to us I mean, some of the things he says after the games, defeat after defeat after defeat. Oh, I thought we played well. I thought we did.
Or more importantly, I don't really care when he's asked about the opinions of the fans. He doesn't say I don't care what the fans think, but he says it's not about, because I don't care about the people that aren't that important. I care about whether the team believes, whether the dressing room and the coaching staff, whether they believe. And you infer from that what you actually mean is the fans don't know what they're fucking talking about, and they'll be unhappy with and if they think I'm a bad manager today, they should think I'm a bad manager tomorrow if we win the Europa League, right? Okay. Yeah. Then people are going to think you're a bad manager then, mate, because not that we need your permission, but yeah, you're right.
I've not hated a manager as much as I hate this manager, and that's a lot of that is not
I don't
just
hate him.
not just down to the results, Sean. It's not just down to the results. It's the way he's spoken about us. I listen. I go to the vast majority of games home and away, right? Okay, but there are fans that go to more games than me. And those fans to come back after driving for hours, spending a fortune, spending hours driving there and driving back to hear him talk like that after a game, it riles you up. It's not acceptable.
I hear you, but for what it's worth, mate. I know you say this quite a lot. But
the people that sit on the couch that get pissed off, right, with some of the things that he says, and I see it all. How can he say that? It's disgusting what he's saying. Imagine driving or going abroad.
Johnny, mate, I don't listen. You say this quite a lot, and like I've never picked you up on it before. But I think if you were to filter out, there's massive like barriers to entry to getting tickets to those things.
No, I'm not.
There's a million fans that if it wasn't for the fact they either can't afford it or they can't access the tickets or because of the geos, it has nothing to do with your level of fandom by being whether you can access those games or not.
Sure, mate. That's not what I'm saying at all, mate. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that the 3,000 fans, who go home and away, who go to the away games, right, to come back from those games. I'm not saying you're less of a fan.
I know you're not, but I'm saying that the opinions of people that can't get to the games is just as valid. I'm
not saying that either. What I'm saying to you is that the fans that sit on the couch and watch his press conference straight after, who are pissed off, imagine how pissed off the people are who have spent fortunes and driven hours there and hours back and get back and listen to that shit. Right?
I'd imagine they're the same level of pissed off, mate, is what I'm saying, because I don't think that your access to the games has any bearing on your investment in the football team, is what I'm saying.
I think you are more pissed off because you've actually taken the time. Listen, when I don't go to a game, obviously, and I watch it on the TV and I hear that, I'm pissed off. But not as pissed off as my mate who's driven up to Liverpool 5 hours and come back and witnessed it, and 5 hours back.
I get it, but again, this goes back to this is my particular stance on the. It kind of harks back to the idea of, you're paying top rate tickets to go to the stadium, right? £100 a game or whatever it is, and I say you're not paying for out. This is where me and Ricky Sachs disagree. Like when he was saying things like, "Oh, that the stadium was promised to be a game changer." Right, not to get off the topic. I'm gonna thread it back in here. And I always said, yeah, but the stadium was a game changer in what it could be a game changer about. The stadium isn't capable of actually delivering results on the pitch in and of itself. It's a monetization process that can then hopefully give you the chance to compete, of which it has been. But Daniel Levy wasn't promising game changing results in terms of success. He was promising the opportunity for better outcomes because of the things that the input factors, right? Money, the cost of putting together a team. And similarly, people say, "Oh, if I'm paying £100 a ticket, the most expensive tickets in the Premier League, I want to see better football." And I would say that's not what you're paying your money for. You're paying your money for the opportunity to experience Premier League football in the nicest stadium in the world. And what happens on the pitch happens on the pitch. On any given Sunday, anything can happen, right? But you're not like, if it was just about, like, it's almost like the argument there, it's almost like the US presidential election where the candidate with the most money inevitably wins election because they can spend the most money on advertising campaigns and rallies and shit. It's not, it shouldn't be like that. It should be, you're paying for the experience, not for the outcome. And when it comes to people that travel 5 hours on a coach to go to Liverpool, there might be 3,000 people that do it, but there's 300,000 people that would do it if they could. And therefore, just because they're sat on their sofas doesn't mean that they feel any less aggravated by Ange's comments than those that do get on the bus and the coach and go. It's all I'm saying.
Listen, I'm not saying that anyone is a lesser fan because they're not in the stadium, or they're a lesser fan because they're not. I'm just saying, imagine how you feel and then multiply that by someone who's actually driving 5 hours. Listen, we've all been in the plane where you have to drive 3 hours to a function or to something, or 4 hours, and get there and the function shit, and then you have to come all the way back. Look, I'm just saying that, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, that come what may, this guy is not tactically astute enough.
Oh, I agree with that.
Show yourself to take us to the next level. So all we're doing, if we leave him in position, right, I will be eternally thankful for him helping us to win the Europa League. Although I feel that the players themselves and the fortune of draw and circumstances have all aligned to help us along the way. I do believe we're going to win it. I don't know why I believe it, but I've believed it for quite a while.
I believe you are as well. I believe you are as well. But where I disagree with you is I just don't think that, I think that this season, it won't be remembered as the season that we won. It will be remembered for the season we won the Europa League. But I think that there is a massive caveat, because I think it's very, very rare that you'll see a team that goes on to lift the European trophy and have that rare moment in their club's history that has been preceded by and probably followed by, if Ange does stay at the club, absolute disasters on the regular, on the pitch, in the thing that matters most, your bread and butter, which is your Premier League position, right? Mm. And so I think that this season it will be like, there'll be an asterisk next to the Europa League. It will be Tottenham in 20 years' time will say, do you remember 61? Well, I don't remember it. I wasn't alive, but yeah, big time. I've heard all about it. Big times. Yeah, we were an amazing team, right? Done the double. Do you remember 81? Do you remember 91? Do you remember Gazza's free kick? Do you remember beating Chelsea in the final? All those things. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Do you remember when the lasagna gate? Yeah, outrageous. Do you remember all that stuff? Do you remember the Europa League in 2025? Yeah, there's an asterisk next to that one because, yeah, we lifted the Europa League, but it was the worst fucking season in Tottenham's history on all of those stats that you mentioned at the start of the show.
Correct, yeah. I mean, listen,
I don't think it will be remembered in the same vein as our previous.
Why do you think this is the biggest thing? For a guy who's been trigger happy for 24 years, pressing that button. Now, I hear all the people saying, yeah, but he wants to do it different this time. But when there's £3 million a position in that in the Premier League, we're looking like right now that we can finish one off the bottom.
I think we will. Given that we've got to play West Ham away in between those two Bodo games, and they're the team that separates us from the bottom three. And
we're playing Liverpool.
Liverpool and Villa. Villa have got things to fight for, right? And Brighton, who are still in the Europa League hunt. You know, there's
I'm trying to see who have West Ham got on the weekend. Are they playing on the weekend? They're away to Brighton.
Every team that we've got to play has something to play for in the league, and we don't.
Yeah.
Apart from West Ham.
I mean, there's three really interesting. Well, is there three interesting battles? Well, there is. There's the challenge for the top 5 places, the top 4 for the thing, and then there's the challenge in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I think someone was summarizing it earlier or yesterday. You've got the top 2, and the bottom 3, which is basically done. So that's 5, and you've got 15 teams left. And of those 15 teams, you've got 3 groups of 5. You've got 5 teams that are fighting out for 3 Champions League places, and then 2 Europa League.
Yeah.
And then you've got the next 5 that are fighting out to try to get into that Europa League spot or Conference League spot. And then you've got the 5 teams after that includes Tottenham that are fighting for pride.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct.
And Tottenham's pride is not at the top of the priority list. So I think that Tottenham will finish 17th. I think it is unacceptable. And I think that Ange Postecoglou, if he does win the Europa League, as hard as I say this, like I think he should be given just on a meritocracy basis. I'm happy if he doesn't. Like I'm not going to sit here and say like it's a fucking disgrace that he's been sacked. I'm just going to say that on a meritocracy basis, he probably should be given the start of the season, but he shouldn't be given the money to spend. The money to spend should go like the choices of where that money gets given should be in the hands of the
that's
CEO.
not going to happen, is it? But you know that's not going to happen. He's going to say, well, you know, mate, you know, you got to back.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, does it really matter? Like, can we not all agree, regardless of whether or not? To me, it doesn't matter. This summer, whoever the next manager is, I don't care whether it's, Areola, whether it's Pochettino, I don't care who it is. We still need a monster six. We still need a better striker. We still need a left-sided defender that can ideally do two things.
So he doesn't play with a monster six, right? He doesn't play with a monster six.
And if he hasn't learned that, if he hasn't figured that out yet,
you know that. You know that. Yeah, this is one of his biggest. Listen, there's so many things wrong with his tactics. I can't even.
Benson Call yesterday was a fucking disgrace, mate. He was so bad. I've said this. Like people that
say he was. Hang on a second. He was absolutely outstanding at Frankfurt.
I don't think he was. Right? I'm sorry. I don't think he was. I don't think he was. Nah, I don't care if I'm in a pool of one on that one, mate. I just don't. I don't think he was.
Listen. It wasn't just myself that thought that. Listen,
I know everyone thinks it. Everyone thinks it. But luckily, I'm an independent thinker, so I don't care.
He looked very leggy. I know. I'm just saying he looked very leggy last night. Again, another weird decision by Ange to play him. When he says players need a rest or players need, look, we could chew this over a million times. And, you know, I just don't understand why a man who's pressed the button so many times has allowed him to, he's Heung, isn't he not playing for, hang on, who's he play for?
Morton Heung plays for Sporting.
It's Sporting, is it?
Yeah. Quality player. I
just cannot understand. So how much have we
I like that Hugo Larsson at Frankfurt as well. I think he's
he's good as well. Tell me something. How many the Bodo Glimt managers turned down about 4 jobs? Tell me something. What's how much do you think we've lost in league position if we finish 17th?
Versus
6, 8, 7, 8, yeah.
Yeah, so it's £3.1 million per spot. So 30 million quid if you finish 7th. It's a lot of fucking money, mate.
Yeah.
A lot of money. And that's why I was saying last night, people were saying, it's dead rubber game, who cares? I mean, let me ask you, before I finish my point, just quickly, I couldn't get my grasp. When I was looking in certain sections of the fan base last night, it looked like there were seats everywhere. If I saw a block of 50 people, it looked to me like 10 of them were empty and maybe 10 of them were Koreans, a lot of tourists. And then there was a lot of families there, like a lot of boys with their parent, with their father or whatever. So it looked like a bit like a family night because it was Easter Monday.
Well, I thought that was a good thing. Yeah, I think that was a good thing. I thought it was funny. I don't know if anyone listened to TalkSport. But there was a guy who came on after we conceded the goal and they'd already missed another goal, which was disallowed. He decided to leave the stadium after 6 minutes. And he went home and he got home in the 54th minute to watch the rest on Sky.
Fucking hell. He must have lived close to the stadium.
But he left at 6 and got home at 4. But yeah, I mean,
do you know, I put my ticket because of shenanigans. I put my ticket on the exchange. I've only been to 4 games this season, right? Because of my problems with getting a phone that can get this thing doesn't. I was saying, someone put a funny comment in the thing saying, "This is not, sorry, sir, this isn't a QR code. This is the snake game or whatever, right?" Like with my cheap old Nokia. But I haven't managed to sell. I think I've only got like 1 ticket sold. And yet when I go to the next games, I say to the guys around me, I was like, "Is my seat always empty?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I've only sold 1 ticket on the exchange. And there's pretty much always someone sat in your seat when you're not here." I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Am I like either someone's going like, oh, come down here like because they couldn't get 2 seats together or whatever, so they found the seat and they move people around, or I'm getting shafted by Tottenham who don't tell you that they've actually sold your ticket.
Sean, listen, Sean, when I sit in the, I've got my seats in the east and in the south, right? When I sit in the south, right, I've got the 2 seats, and like depends who I take with me or whatever, my friends or family, or whatever, and. The fucking come up at half time, right? The guy comes out and he sits in my seat. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm sitting in my seat, mate. What's your problem?" I said, "Hang on 1 second." I said, "You're sat in my seat." He goes, No, it's my seat. I said, "Mate, it's my seat." He goes, "Yeah, go on, fucking prove it." He goes to me. I said, "What do you mean prove it? I sit here. Right, it's happened loads of times. I went down to the toilet and I came back, and a guy and a girl were sat in my seat. And
really?
I said to them, "Yes."
Well, they're just moving up. They're just moving around, are they, during the game?
I've done this. Looks nice. I'll sit here, right? So I come up and I said to him, "Excuse me, you're in my seat." And he goes, "What are you talking about, mate?" I said, "Mate, get out of my seat." He goes, "What? Well, you were looking for trouble." I said, "What do you mean I'm looking for trouble? I just want to sit in my seat." And I see them. They end up moving around, and lo and behold, they found 2 empty seats in front of me further along, and they just keep moving around until they find a seat. Listen, on away games, people move around. I mean, when I went with you to Luton,
me and you went to Luton, didn't we? That was hilarious.
Stand where you want. It was just stand where you want. Forget your number.
We stand where we want. We stand where we want.
I went to Fulham, and I had a restricted view. I wish I had a totally restricted view that I didn't have to watch any of the game.
You're getting seat jacked.
I get seat jacked. I moved forward, right, and I was stood there, and these Korean guys go, "What are you doing? It's not your seat." And the guy went, "It's not your seat either. You weren't here 2 minutes ago." I just moved on my own near the front because I couldn't see. But listen, it's accepted. It's accepted. Like people mix around. Sometimes friends can't sit together.
No, I get it. I'm always happy. Like if when I am there, I think all times I've gone this season, I haven't actually ended up sat in my own seat because there's been like. There's a group of people that sit next to me that are obviously like a big family, or that there's like maybe 10 people that are on rotation in 3 seats. Like
not vegans, were they? Sure.
Not what?
Not vegans, were they?
Probably, yeah. Disgusting.
There's a lot of vegans. There was a lot of vegans in last night. I could tell.
Yeah. But there's always like someone who's like a father that's sat, here where like next to me, and then there might be his son that's like 5 seats across or something, and down a couple of rows, and he's always looking down. And I'm like, "Mate, do you want me to go and sit here, and your son can come here?" Like it's just do the big courtesy thing. But by the way, on that note, guys, if you didn't know, the tickets for to confirm if you are a season ticket holder, the tickets to get your Europa League game go on sale now. I think at 1 o'clock. I think it's 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock today. So make sure after the stream that you get over there and book that, because it will be memorable. Johnny, I just want to just harp back a little bit on that. So
just to say, I really enjoy when I see fathers and mums, single mums, dads, whatever, families taking their young kids, because that's the next generation, and it's
more and more rare. It's rarer and rarer these days because of the cost of doing it, right?
The cost is so expensive to take them, and whether or not they
that's also, mate. That's also a massive reason why it's so important that Tottenham don't neglect the pre-season. I know that the money's in Korea and Japan and Hong Kong and all that shit. I get all that, and it's an important part of it. But leave a couple of weeks space before the season starts to come home and play the likes of Barnet, play the likes of Leyton Orient, play the likes of Stevenage, play the local teams. And if they have to be somewhat youth teams, but give the families a chance to go and see your team play, and do it at home, and then give Leyton Orient and Etal a slice of the profit share. But that's the way that you can get the families in to watch their team before the season starts. Because you're right, mate. The price gouging is insane on the non-official markets, and the access to tickets is a problem for away games and for home games. It's a problem, especially if a team are doing well. And if you don't find space to get parents with their kids in, then you lose the next generation. you lose the next generation. They're not going to be interested, are they? They'd rather go and watch West Ham.
I think a lot of people last night had, you know, when I was speaking to people around where I was, you know, a cousin or someone they know had gifted them the tickets because they didn't want to go. So, yeah. So
happily married. Yeah.
So basically, it's all good, and that's why, as you say, you know, the pricing is key to the games like Elfsberg, where it was like 30 quid, and AZ, which was 30 quid, which enabled people with young kids to go, because that's when they first fall in love. Where your uncle takes you, the dad is not really into football, and the brother or the sister takes you to a game for your first time, buys you a kit, and suddenly you're a Spurs fan. So,
do you know what's interesting, mate? Right, my dad's now 72. He's retired, and he's done all right for himself in life. Right, he did okay for himself. So he's not like short of a penny or two. But I say to him, "You don't go to Tottenham anymore." Like, and he's like, "I can't justify the price because he's on his pension or whatever, and he's got his budgets." If the price was what it is today in the old days, back in 1994 season when I got my first season ticket, and I was like 9 years old, and I remember the first game. I remember my dad buying the season ticket he bought 3 season tickets, and I didn't go to the first game of the season, but I remember my dad, myself, my mum, and my dad went to it was Man United. It was Jurgen Klinsmann. I think it was Man United. It was a Monday night, and it was under the lights, and it was the first time I walked out in that old East stand, and I saw the floodlights, and it was the first time, and from that moment on, I fell in love. I was just like, wow, what is this? Like Rio Ferdinand when Tottenham did the semi-final against Ajax. You know, wow, this is what I was, and I fell in love, right? And like, I don't think my dad, who did relatively well for himself in his life, I don't think my dad would justify the cost of 3 or 4 season tickets now. You know, I think you have to be. And listen, I know I always defend it because it's
mentally not well. Right? I mean,
Sorry?
Look, I can't even tell you how much I pay for my 5.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? You know, a lot of money, a lot of money.
Honestly, it's mad. But there again, for me, it's like a religion. It's like I'm, you know.
Imagine if you lost it, right? And you know, if you didn't have that anymore, if Tottenham just vanished, how would you fill the time? Go to the gym or something, right?
I don't know what I would do. I'd probably
become an alcoholic.
I could. I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. I'd find, maybe I'd follow NFL or something like that, because I love NFL. But no, I mean this. I love Tottenham. I moved to Glasgow for a while, and I didn't have Tottenham. I had to drive to Largs at that time to go and watch a game live, because no games could be shown live in Scotland while another game was being played in Scotland. So I had to drive almost to the edge of the border to pick up a TV signal. That's how bad it was. So
really? Wow.
So I never really got to see Spurs as much as I had done, in my childhood. But it wasn't long, having come back to London, before I had the bug again, and I didn't want to miss a game. Yeah.
Well, let's get back to Tottenham, mate, because we've been going for an hour and 20. I don't want to go take up too much more time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do the man, shall we?
Do the what?
Shall we do the man? Cuti Romero.
Oh fuck yeah! We haven't even spoken about that. Jesus Christ! Well, before we do, just quickly, let me finish this off though. This segment. So we've spoken about. So you think that the club will be like the fans will remember it differently? Just before we get on the last topic of Romero, do you agree with me that regardless of who the manager is next season, regardless, as long as the club keeps to the philosophy, generally speaking, of the pivot doesn't swing back the other way, that we still need the same profile of player for regardless of which man? Like, is there a scenario where Tottenham go, okay, Ange, see you later, and bring in a manager where suddenly you don't need a left-sided centre-back / left-back, where suddenly you don't need a monster 6, where suddenly you don't need potentially a better 8, where you don't need a striker or a forward? Is there a scenario? Is there a manager that comes in where the needs are different, regardless?
I think the most crucial thing here is we do not pivot away from the philosophy of the manager that comes in. We cannot keep dovetailing, going, defensive, offensive, defensive, offensive. It has to be the an attacking coach where there's synergy between his ethos and what's going on. So basically, I would say we will 100% need new players, but I don't believe that this squad is anywhere near, Sean, as bad as we are now currently.
I think the squad's fucking brilliant.
So do I.
I love the squad. I love the squad. Just a few additional bits of quality sprinkled in, and there's no reason why we can't do good things next year.
But if he leaves, if Romero leaves, which we'll discuss in a minute, then Mark Gahey with 1 year left on his contract, or Dean Huijsen, because he's some hot sauce. I love a bit of Huijsen sauce. He's coming. Someone like him, Matheus Cunha.
Yeah, you'd hope that you would use whatever money you get for Romero will be allocated entirely towards the replacement.
Correct. Yeah, you would think so. You would hope so.
You'd hope so. Yeah,
you'd hope so. We need a monster 6. We need a backup left centre back, because we can never be in a position where we're having to rely on Ben Davies and
go and get me David Hansko.
Well, we said that Hansko or Pierre Hincapié from Bayer Leverkusen. We need some quality. We need a monster 6, and if one of the strikers is going, we need another. I'd like to see a mobile striker. I personally would love to see a Jonathan David, because whatever you think about him, he's improved and he's still scoring the goals.
I never used to, people know this. I never used to rate him, but I've found my respect levels for him as he's developed as a player, gone up through the roof. What I would say is I think that signing someone like him, who's not going to be short of offers, obviously it's a free transfer, but that doesn't really mean that it's free transfer. You're still paying 70%. It's just going in a different direction. To me, the key there is Champions League football. You can make it happen. If you win the Europa League, you can convince him to come. You 100%. Can't if you finish 17th and you lose in the final or the semis. But apart from him, do you think? Because I personally believe that the entire midfield needs an overhaul. I think that I made a point last night that you could sell Bissouma, Bentancur, and Sarr, sell all 3, and get really good money together, and then you go and get a monster 6. I'm not talking about the Johnny Cardosos of the world. Not that I think he's a bad player, but I just don't think he's not going to excite me. I love people saying Edison's not a 6. Like, he's more than capable. He's more than capable, right?
Yeah, forget Edison. He ain't ever coming, unfortunately. We've been talking about him for 18 months. Johnny Cardoso will buy and probably sell.
João Gomez from Wolves, I'd buy it. If Wolves, Finland's still in the house, I'd take him off your hands.
I saw a stat a few months ago, actually, probably two months ago, of how many permutations of midfield that this manager, who still does not know his best midfield, I think it's something like it was 156 permutations.
Yeah,
of that he's played in the last 2 seasons. I believe Bentancur will stay. I believe Sarr will stay. I believe Bissouma will 100% go.
Bissouma's done. Bissouma's bottom of the pecking order. After last night's display, I think Pape Sarr is also probably surplus, right?
I believe Kulu will go if we don't make Champions League. I really do worry.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, I hope.
Would you want to stay? Listen, 17th in the league. No European football.
Yeah, but 17th or 10th is it's all the same, isn't it? Right, in terms of like no European football.
Listen, I don't remember anything this bad. I just don't. Tottenham's season historically has been like snakes and ladders. Win a couple of games, get all excited, and you go straight up the ladder and then bang straight down the snake again.
Well, since December, it's been fucking more snakes than anything else, right? More snakes than what's the name? Masood. I was going to try and give an analogy, but you can't do it if you have to explain the analogy. You can't remember the name. Is it Methuselah? Was that the woman with the snake hair?
Medusa.
Who was the what's her name? Medusa. More snakes than fucking Medusa. Yeah, there you go. Didn't work. Never mind. Mate, let's pivot then to this Romero news, right? Let me see if I can find the context, because the initial quote that was written and translated by, I think it was Daily Hotspur, was outrageous, and but I think I'm not sure if it's been entirely translated correctly or it's been just the context has been missed. But either way, I've got the actual. Let me go to my friend Last Word on Spurs. Let's get the actual context, the full context. Where is it? Here we go. Put it up on the screen. Bosh. Share this tab instead. Tottenham defender Christian Romero says he is open to leaving the club at the end of the season and would love to play in La Liga. I'd love to play in La Liga. I'd love to. Honestly, it depends on a lot of things. We'll see after the season is over. The truth is I haven't spoken to my agent yet, but I'm open to anything. My goal is always to grow and to go to new places to continue developing. Above all else, I try to take one day at a time. There are 2 months left until the end of the season. I'm always thinking about performing at my best. We're in the Europa League semi-finals. It's an important step for the club, which hasn't reached this stage for so many years. I'd like to win it. Now, that's a slightly different take on the initial comments that were quoted verbatim as saying, La Liga is where I need to be. Is what the initial things, like the initial quotes were, La Liga is where I need to be. That's what I want. That's where I want to be. And I put a tweet out saying, if he actually said this, then he can fuck himself. If he wants to be in Spain, so be it. But that doesn't include Bilbao in May. Go fuck himself. And then I removed it once I saw the actual quotes that have been translated correctly. It's a little bit less damning, but I still don't think that a vice captain of the football club should be talking about his future in the middle of a season on the Tottenham training ground complex when we've still got so much to play for. Even though it doesn't read quite as damning, it still reads like he wants out, Johnny.
I still think he's a class act. I really do. I mean, there's no class with. Look, he's a winner. Okay, Serie A Defender of the Year. That says it all. Serie A Team of the Year, World Cup winner, 2 times Copa America winner, Team of the Tournament in the Copa America twice, Team of the Tournament in the World Cup. The guy
constantly makes mistakes, though. Makes mistakes that best men as well don't make.
You don't win all those accolades. You don't get spoken of in that manner, right? Yes, he's made mistakes. Yes, his season this season has been his poorest season in the Spurs shirt. But you can see that when he picks up that ball and he drives it, he's passing to set
best passing in the league.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, right? He's unbelievable. So we can sit here and just focus on the negatives. But if you think that getting rid of him is the best thing for the club and we're going to improve by him going, I personally don't. Because players like him don't come up along that often. You know, we talk about aspiring to improve ourselves and reach greater heights. You don't reach greater heights by selling, you know, your Gareth Bales, your Luka Modric, your Harry Kanes, your Christian Romero.
It depends what you do with it, though, right? Look at the Coutinho money with Liverpool. Like,
yeah, but I'm saying this club historically.
oh, Tottenham. Yeah, of course not. No, Tottenham.
Dimitar Berbatov, Michael Carrick. You know, the list goes on. Okay, if you're selling, like if you were saying to me, we're going to sell him, and we're going to be buying Dean Huijsen, okay, at 20 years of age, who's going to be in the Spanish centre back probably for the next 8-10 years, right? Then fine, I can accept that.
But you want another young kid in there.
I think he's out, Sean. I think he's
No,
absolutely.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Left foot, right foot. Great passer with the ball and fantastic in the air. Right. This is a kid who has shown that he can cope at this level already. He's played for Spain. He had his first caps in the last international break. He's going all the way. I'd take Mark Gahey as well if we had to. He's only got 1 year left on his contract.
I just don't vibe with him like everyone else. This is another one of those, like Benson calls the best. Was amazing. Is amazing. Don't agree. Don't care if I'm in the pool of one. I just don't agree, and I don't agree that Mark Gahey is that sensational. I've always found him clumsy.
Never said sensational. Never said sensational. I think he's. I think he's a good. I think he's a good. When he was younger, funny enough, I used to think that he was a young Ledley King. That's what he reminded me of. But having watched Jim Byfield play for our youth academy, I think Byfield.
Who's that? Who? What's his name?
Byfield.
Byfield.
Byfield. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 16, probably.
What is he? Is he the next Ledley King? Is he?
For me, he looks like a young Ledley King. Have a look him up. See if you can bring him up.
I like this. I just got a little. I'm not going to call it a semi. I've got like a quarter on there because I just got a little funny feeling in my belly. Like you're telling me, there's a centre back coming through our ranks that I haven't heard of. That's insane.
Yeah, I believe he's fantastic. Listen, look, the thing is, I go on about our youth academy players and certain ones. Yeah, 30 guy. There you go.
30 guy. What does that mean?
Top baller.
Top baller. Oh, is that what it? Okay.
Yeah, have a look him up.
Certified guy, bro. Certified guy, fam. I know Pedro Porro when he gets hurt. Most people do that when they're like, "Yeah, bro." Like I'm 16, and I'm still doing the old finger click when Pedro Porro gets like smashed in the foot.
But listen, look, I see a lot of the games this season. I've been quite poor. I've got to be honest. There's a guy who I know who's making a documentary this season on the academy that will be broadcast on the BBC probably later this summer. But that will be really interesting to watch. He's been down for all the games, and he was saying to me, I saw him in Frankfurt.
Who's this, sorry?
There's a guy who I know who's a producer, and he's doing a film, a documentary on the Spurs Academy. He's been doing it all year.
Better chance of good outcomes if you do that. Follow that team around. And
he said to me, "Oh, I saw you up in Scotland for the Glasgow game. We were talking about, how you go to the academy games." He said, "No, I haven't seen you." And I said, "Hands up." I said, "I've had a lot going on, games here, there, and everywhere." I was meant to be going to the final, the under-17s. So the under-21 final. The under-17s final last week.
We won it, didn't we?
We beat Charlton, yeah.
With that fella Bartlett scoring another hat trick, right?
Yeah, no, the sit down goal was fantastic. Do you see it? We went around.
Is this kid? I know you said he's not playing this season, and I hear you. But is he? By the way, Jamie Donnelly. Did you see Jamie Donnelly's goal yesterday for Leyton Orient?
Mate, honestly,
mate, Johnny, what the fuck is that kid about, mate? He is special.
Mate,
he is special.
Listen. All right, I've been going on about Jamie Donnelly.
I know, yeah. You and Dave.
2.5, 3 years now, right?
Yeah.
I follow him. I chat to him on normally on Insta, but I was so happy for him. His dad said that he needed to get away and get some game time, and I was going, yeah, but surely, he's going to get a chance. So when I saw it pre-season, go on the pre-season tour, I was really excited. Jamie's going to be playing. Where's he playing? He's playing him at left back.
Yeah,
and he played really well, and he got 2 assists. He's not a left back; he's a 10.
Is he a 10? Is he? Is that what you think he is? A 10.
He's played on the left. He's played on
everything.
He's played on the right. He's played as a centre forward. He's played
like a Pedro Gonçalves type player. Can play everywhere.
He's played everywhere.
Has he got pace?
I wouldn't say he's blessed with a lot of pace, but he's got a
Harry
great
Kane style.
I personally would bring him straight back into the squad to be.
Yeah, I want to see him in. Fuck another loan. He looks like he's ready. He's just, you know what? I'll smash it at the level you give me, but doesn't matter what level you give me, I'm ready.
I think he can break the lines with his passing, and we know that James Maddison is not going to be playing 38 league games. And
would you sell James Maddison?
If we got a decent offer, yes.
You sold Maddison before Decky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, listen, the Leicester fans called him 33 and a third.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
33 and a third. 33% playing great, 33% injured, and 33 and a third % coming back from his injury and not performing. That was before he even set foot here, and that pretty much sums up. Listen, look, you can't argue with his goals and assists this season. It's far better than last season, so it's important. But as for Bartlett Williams,
sorry, I'm jumping around, mate. I'm asking you questions because Williams Bartlett. Let's talk about him for a second. Is he the real? And what is he? An 8? What is he?
He's a sort of winger, come striker, attacker.
He's another Jamie Donnelly style.
For me, no, he's got much more pace. But the point here is he's 16 years of age, right? The jump is massive, right? Playing with kids to playing with men, okay?
Yeah. And like I always say, right? It's the second that if you're deemed good enough, then you're deemed old enough, and with that comes the necessary comparison to other players in the squad. Just because you're 16. If you're good enough to be in the squad, I don't care whether you're 16 or 26 or 36, you're now being compared to what other options we have. And that's why I sit there and say, Micky Moore, for me, hasn't done enough, in my opinion, this season in a first-team shirt to be deemed ready. Well, not ready, to be deemed like it's outrageous that he hasn't had more time. The time that he's had, I haven't seen that much from him.
Look, I think people just forget. You know, he was playing when he was 16 years of age. He was only 17 in August. You know,
but that's the point I'm making, though. That's the point. It doesn't matter how old you are. Once you're in the first team squad, if you're good enough, then you're congratulations, you're in the squad. But at that point, then the manager has to say, no one gives a fuck whether you're 17 or 27. I've got to put you in the team, and therefore you're taking a spot from someone else who might be 27, might be 18, might be 20, whatever. And therefore, I have to judge you on merit and value, not on your age. Ange Postecoglou doesn't give a fuck what happens to Tottenham in 2 years' time. He won't be here. So he cares about himself, right? He cares about his job, rightly so.
That's why the youth won't play.
But that comes with the territory unless you have a manager that either is naturally leans that way, like wants to do that because that's the way that they're built and molded, or B, has the confidence that they're part of a 4 or 5 or 6 year project where they can benefit from that guy's introduction now and in 2 years' time. Ange clearly, look, Tottenham fans are that impatient, mate. Tottenham fans predominantly want to sack a guy who might lift us to our most success in 45 years. You know, like that's the point I'm making. So, like, if you're old enough, then you're in the squad.
Sean, come on, it's justified. It's justified about wanting to sack Ange. I mean, it was justified sacking in Christmas. But the thing is, what people got to realise is, you know, if a 28-year-old guy who's working out, a footballer, and is ripped to shreds, is going into battle, or a centre back who's battle hardened, and you've got a kid that comes on who's 16 years of age or just 17 years of age, he's going to get physically bullied. He's going to get in the back. He's going to know, hang on a minute, this is a bit different. This is why Jamie Donnelly, when he first went to Orient, struggled at the beginning to adjust to League One men's football, where it's a little bit nastier. And that's why, when I see people saying, oh, he should be in the first team squad getting minutes. I mean, that'd be ridiculous. He's 16 years of age. The physicality, he's still growing. And the amount of players...
is this guy Bartlett Williams, is in your estimation, I'm not saying whether he's ready. I know your answer to that is no, but in your estimation, comparatively, where do the three names? Well, like here's a better way of saying it: stack rank in order at the age of 16 and a half, playing in the youth team, the quality that was on display, and the level gap between Mikey Moore, Jamie Donnelly, this kid Bartlett Williams, and someone like a Tyrese Hall or an NJ. I know they may play slightly different positions, but just generally speaking, what's the stack rank and how big is the gap between where they were relatively at the time?
I thought that Jamie was head and shoulders above everybody at the time until I saw Mikey Moore. So I would say in their development at that time, probably Mikey Moore and Jamie on a level. Probably, I would say that's me personally. Mikey Moore probably had more height.
So why did Mikey Moore stay? If you're saying, and I know this is just your opinion. I know it's just your opinion, and like, so don't worry about caring about if you're wrong on this or whatever. But like, if you think that Jamie and Mikey were similar levels, then why did Mikey stay and get a couple of games here and there, a couple of minutes, whereas Jamie went to the League One and has clearly shown that he's better than League One? He's obviously at least Championship standard. He's obviously at least that. But the fact that he did what he did against City in the Cup, it wasn't just the halfway line own goal, shot goal thing. That he was just sensational in that game beyond that moment, right?
Yeah.
So to me, Jamie Donnelly is ready. Like I said a minute ago, I just feel like Jamie Donnelly's the sort of guy like, whatever level, like I can only beat what's put in front of me. Whatever level you throw me in at, I'll smash it, and that includes the Premier League.
Ability. Look, the belief in his own ability that he felt that if he stayed at this club, he wasn't going to get any minutes, like Mikey. Yeah, but don't forget, Jamie is older than Mikey.
By right? how much?
Jamie is 20 years of age, and he's
Jamie's 20, so he's older than Lucas Berghvall. Yeah.
Juff, yeah. And what's his 9? He'll be 18 in August, I believe. You've also got Callum Oluwasi, who I really, really rate.
And he hasn't had any first team time yet, has he?
He's had one or two games now. Callum has come through the ranks as a 5-year-old with Mikey Moore.
What position is Callum Oluwasi?
Midfield.
What like an 8?
Yeah, I would say an 8. Yeah.
Tyrese Hall's an 8 as well, right?
I rate Callum higher than Tyrese, personally. I think Tyrese has sort of gone back a bit. This season, he's kicked up again. It's all very well believing you're great, but you just got to keep delivering. And Ajay, again, another very talented player. What's his name? Who's Abbott? George Abbott, who's I
remember when he broke through before. He broke through under Conte, didn't he?
Yeah. So George Abbott,
and he played well. When I saw him play in the first team, I thought he played well. I thought George Abbott was really impressive. I don't think he even put a step wrong. He didn't get very many moments, but when he got them, I thought he was really good. And
he's gone out.
Where does he go? He went to West Brom.
It's Notts County. No, it's
Notts County.
Notts County, right? He's done extremely well. He's up for Young Player of the Year, and one of the
in League One, yeah.
Club, yeah. So he's done okay. And then you've got Ashley Phillips, who unfortunately was on the wrong end of a bit of a hammering. Oluwasi.
Messi.
No, I really rate Callum. He's come through with England and Spurs with Mikey Moore.
Do you think that there's any? Again, I'll lean into you on this one, mate, because I'm a little bit.
You got Busquets, who's still out on loan, and he would never survive in this system because he's brilliant in the air. He's fantastic going forward, but he doesn't have the pace, the recovery pace that will be needed for this system. But
then, is it okay? This is the question I've been asking 1,000 times. I think I started the debate with you a few weeks ago. I think we went back and forth for like an hour Before we,
Something like
yeah. Is it okay to see players like Vuskovic not necessarily break through to the Tottenham first team, but to sell them on for a profit if they don't fit the system? Like if he's
Well,
he's
he was the most
6'5", he's 17 or whatever, and he's going to be, probably a monster. But if we're playing a different type of football, then shake hands with that as long as you don't lose money on the trade, right? Is that okay? Is that still a success, or do you only care about these players if they make it at Tottenham?
No. What I care about is that we can produce an Alex Iwobi or an Nketiah, okay, that doesn't quite make our first team on a regular basis, yet still fetches 30 million and 35 million pounds, which helps fund purchasing, helps the balance books, and helps fund us the positions.
Right, but all of those players that you just mentioned, they did play for Arsenal.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying to you is
you're not going to get 35 million pound for Vuskovic unless he plays for Tottenham. But if he goes out on loan to Ross County next year, he's not going to get 30. You're not going to get 30 million quid for him, no matter how well he does in the Championship or in League One, right?
No, but there's been lots of players that have come through Arsenal's academy and Chelsea's academy, which have gone on and netted them large sums of money. And what I'm saying to you is that the hope is that if Spurs start producing talent that finds its way to the first team, which is the aim of this model, club trained players, then we will be in a position where we won't need 7 different positions. Okay, we would have produced them through our academy. We could then sell the academy players, and then we'll be in a position not to spread 100 or 120 million across 5 players, to spread it across 1 or 2 players, thus buying better quality to mix in with the higher quality of youth.
Right. So would you? Would you? Let me bring it back to the first team for a second. Would you go along with the same lines? I was saying, like Pape Sarr. What do you think about Pape Sarr? Do you think I think that recently it's become clear to me.
For him. Listen, we paid 12 million for him. He's a Senegalese international. Okay, he scores goals for Senegal. He scored crucial goals for us in the Europa League, as we not forget. Headers, long range shots. Yep. He's been very good for us in the Europa League. Have a look back.
Yeah.
Scored.
I don't hate him at all. I love the guy.
I wouldn't personally get rid of him. But at 12 million, there's profit. For Destiny, 15 million from Udogie, there's profit. Okay, I don't worry about. I'm not worried about that. Bentancur was 17 million euros. Okay, I'm not worried about that. And I think he will sign a new contract and he will stay at the club. He has experience. If you watched him for Uruguay in the last World Cup game, he was a monster. He was absolutely on fire. And I thought he was very, very good against Frankfurt. He looked very leggy last night. So I understand why you're saying that. Personally, I would have rested him last night. But
for who?
Well, I know.
Bissouma's bottom of the pile right now, yeah?
Well, Bissouma's come off in just about every game, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's unreliable. He hasn't got 2 brain cells between his ears.
No, too busy shopping at Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. So this Romero thing, then, are we saying, to bring it all back, like the weave that we like to do, we go off on an hour tangent, but this Romero thing, are we saying that he's pitching, he's twerking for Spain, no smoke without fire? Is he basically saying, without saying it, I'd like to win the cup with Tottenham because Tottenham are a club, that I play for. I'd like to win it, yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, regardless of whether we do or we don't, like I said last night to you on the phone, mate, after the game, I said it on the stream as well. I thought he was so rash last night. He had to come off at halftime. I'm glad he did. He had to, because it was a red card waiting to happen. He was. It was hepatitis C. That was how rash he was. And to me, I just think that this guy is not. He's not as good as people ascribe to him. He really isn't. And I think that the the money you could get for him, as long as it gets replaced in the right direction, of which there's plenty of options. You're looking for a right-footed, right-sided centre-back that ideally is two-footed. If you can go and get Hoyson, fair enough. But then you have are we lowering the age of the average age again? We are, right? Okay, Gahey, fair enough, but not that cute, not that.
Who are you going for? Who are you going to go for?
I mean, I like Jonah Tarr. I think he's a monster. I think Tottenham need someone that's got pace, that's also a monster in the air. I don't think we need to have our centre backs to be the best passers of the ball in the Premier League. If that's where the money comes from, if that's where the value comes from, then so be it. But
Saliba and Gabriel, right? I wanted Saliba when we were in for Saliba. I really wanted him, right? And I was gutted that we didn't get him. Him and Gabriel are two monsters, right? But they're both mobile. They're mobile monsters. Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, if we win this and get Champions League football, I think I think I can see him staying. That he, I mean,
is that right, Terry? And never did his UEFA Pro license, and Celtic had to apply for a recognition of competence.
I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me looking at his tactics for the Celtic in the Champions League as well. Look, he is not going anywhere unless someone pays top money.
Yeah, and what's the money? I've had this debate on the show.
He ain't going for less than 80 million. That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
No, and if you don't pay the money, you're going nowhere. It's as simple as that. And right now in Europe, Real Madrid don't have 80 million. Barcelona don't have 80 million. Atletico Madrid don't have 80 million. Italy doesn't have any money. There's a recession on, right, in football. You know, people are cutting back. Europe has problems. You know, we have problems in this country, affordability, fans, and all the rest.
Okay, on that basis, would you allow him to go and play for Villa, for Unai Emery? They've got money. Apparently, they've got a 99% wage to ratio, turnover ratio.
I don't think that they can afford it, and no, we wouldn't sanction it.
So where are you going to find your 80 million? And well, he said he wants the league to go to Spain. So
yeah,
on that basis, it's only 3 teams, isn't there? Really,
I wouldn't mind going out on a date with what's the name from the Wolf of Wall Street? What's the name?
The Aussie bird. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Yeah. Okay. But ain't gonna happen, is it?
Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie. Yeah. But it ain't gonna happen. So pay your money, and you can off you go. Other than that, I'm afraid you're stuck with us.
Quote that he wants 7 million.
Yeah, but I mean, I want an 11-inch penis. It's not going to happen.
Mate, what do we? How do we finish this off? Then we've been going for 2 hours nearly. I just want to get your last take. So we're saying Romero out, but only for the right money. We're saying save the majority of the money that you get for him, put that to one side to replace it with the best that you can get from the rest of people that would come. That becomes a lot easier if you have the Europa League in your locker and Champions League qualification. And I guess the fun thing I want to clarify to get your thoughts across the channel here and onto Twitter as well. And by the way, guys, I haven't asked at all. There's been 615 people in the house or at least on my numbers here for the majority of the show. Can you smash the like button for me? It really does help the channel because of the fragmented access that I've been going through. Like the channel's struggling to recapture the algorithm, so it doesn't get shown to as many people. But it can really help out if you can smash the like button and hit the subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Also, make sure you go over to Johnny H3232 on Twitter and Talking Tottenham 1882. And as soon as I possibly can, I'm going to be giving Johnny access to Football Inc. I mean, I can give him access, but in terms of the rescheduling it with StreamYard and stuff, it's a bit weird. I don't know why it's not working. And then Johnny and I are going to be kicking back into that one as well in 100% velocity going forward, as long as it's outside of my ownership for protection reasons. But Johnny, I wanted to ask you, so smash the like button, guys, please. It really helps. With regard the the managerial situation. Like we're both a little bit like I hear from what you're saying. We're both a little bit kind of. It's maybe there's no justification for the renewal of his contract, but for the final year, the third with the one. But if he does win, there's a scenario where you do see, like I do, that he will be recognised and given that chance. Maybe it could all play out time-wise where he gets that final season. The next season might end up being a shit show, but you know what? We might go on and win another cup or something, and then it times perfectly for Poch's return. In any event, the last question I want to get clarity on is: do you think that there are positions that will become a priority that are not already an obvious priority in a world where a certain manager comes in, or is any manager going to be presented with the same gaps in our squad, regardless of who that manager is and what they want to play?
Well, I think, for example, if Iriola comes in, there's a chance that he could bring a Kirkes or a Dean Huijsen. Or if Glasner comes in, there's a chance that he could bring an Eze or a Adam Walton, or a Mark Gahey with him. So I would think that there's a chance that the manager that comes in could easily, come in and, bring a player with him other than, the usual or the ones that we feel right now are outstanding. Personally, I think we desperately need a creative midfielder. Do you not think so, Sean? I don't think.
I think our midfield needs an entire overhaul, mate. To be entirely honest, like I said, I'm happy to see 3 of them go. I'm also happy to add James Maddison to that list for the right money. Believe it or not, I think that Decky's valuation now is up here. As much as I love the guy and I think he's got incredible, unique value, if there was someone to come in with silly, stupid money for him, Tottenham are this ridiculous entity that thinks that their assets are like Daniel Levy is a donut. The way that he overappreciates his own players' assets valuations, but underappreciates everybody else's. And it drives me up the fucking wall. Right? You're not prepared to pay someone else fair money for what they want. What is it? How much? Hello, I'm Daniel Levy, chairman of Tottenham Hotspur. How much money do you want for your player? I'm a big fan. We feel like we'd like your player, Dean Huijsen. Let me know. Truly yours, Daniel. And then Bill Foley's come back. Hi, Daniel. I've heard you're a bit of a cunt.
90 million.
I want 70 million for Dean Huijsen. He's awesome. Let me know if it's of interest. 70 million. Okay, thank you for letting me know. You'll be getting an official offer coming through the fax very soon. Yours, Daniel, 20 million quid. Right? It's embarrassing when the offer comes and the other side comes in. Hi, Daniel. It's such and such here from Atalanta or from Atletico Madrid. I'm interested in Christian Romero. How much do you want for him? 150 million pound. Yours, Daniel. Like it's bonkers, right? It's annoying.
I tell you what's amazing is the fact that somehow or other we got 20 million for Oliver Skip, and we got
Harry Winks money as well. Yeah.
Harry Winks. Yeah. Neither of them can even make the Leicester team. Look, he's got 2 years left on his contract. His contract expires July 2027. So he's going to have to. Someone's going to have to cough up the money. Otherwise, he's going nowhere. With 2 years left on his contract, he's not getting it out of this.
Would you sell Decky for 70 million?
If you told me we were selling him for 70 million and we were buying Eze, fine, right?
No. But just like the cart before the horse. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're going to get, right? You don't know what you're going to get yet. But listen. If Tottenham want to do business next year, and we don't win we don't get qualification for the Champions League, like Tottenham are going to have to sell a pretty asset to raise money.
Correct.
Right?
But we have got Manor Solomon. We've got Manor Solomon, who's had a fantastic season for Leeds, who's cost us nothing, right? We've got Alfie Devine, who's which one?
Solomon cost us money. He wasn't free.
He was free.
No, but he wasn't free. Like you still got to pay the agent fees. You still got to pay all that shit. Still happens, right?
It's a free. Well, okay, it's a free transfer, as in we got him on a free. Okay, we paid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But never like that. That just doesn't. That's not really how you got to think of it, though.
Right? No, I understand from a financial.
I know I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious.
Right, you're being facetious. It's a free transfer, right? Okay, it's a free transfer in the scheme of transfers. Okay. So we've got profit there, right? And probably he's easy worth 25 million. If Oliver Skipp is worth 25 million, okay, he's got to be worth more than that. He's still young and he's banging in goals and assists, and Leeds will want to keep him as a minimum, right?
Well, I think a lot of the value in Harry Winks and Ollie Skipp is homegrown, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying to you that Manor Solomon is very popular up there.
Oh
right?
no, I hear you on that. I didn't think he was great yesterday in their game. I thought he was pretty average. But he all I'm saying is that I think that a lot of like half of the value of Ollie
Skipp is he an asset that's going to bring money in? Should we sell him? Yes.
You what? 8 million?
What are you talking about?
What, Manor Solomon?
You think Manor Solomon's only worth £8 million?
What do you think you'll get for Manor Solomon?
15 to 20.
Nah.
Yeah.
No chance. No, you're basing it on the valuation of what you got for Ollie Skipp. But although they're homegrown, club trained.
You know how much we wanted for him before we even signed it?
No.
Well, when he was playing for Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League, he's not. I think some people think that he's just been living under a rock or something, and he was not a footballer.
He was injured, but he's been injured for like more. Apart from his time at Leeds, he's finally shaken those shackles off him. But like,
do you remember the run he had at Fulham where he was banging in goals for fun before he got injured? Yeah,
4 goals in 4 games, and then he got injured again.
I'm just saying, right? You think he's not worth any money?
No, I'm saying he's not worth. If we get £20 million for Manor Solomon, given the fact that he's not,
you don't even rate him as a player.
Do I rate him as a? I think he's all right. I think he's basically, he'd be a good fit for a team like Leeds that are coming up.
Right. Okay.
But I don't think he's Tottenham level.
No,
not a chance.
What I'm trying to say to you here is that we've got assets that we can sell that will bring in money. Right, it's what we bring in with them, because we sold Harry Kane and we bought in Johnson, which is absolute shit. Right, this is a manager that's signed Timo Werner. I mean, signing him once should have been a crime against football. To sign him twice,
yeah.
Well,
I won't disagree with you there.
I mean, but we sold Gareth Bale. We sold Luka Modric, and look at all the players that we bought with him. And we sold Gareth Bale. Look at the players we bought with him.
Terrible money. But that harks back to the question, right? Like at some point, you want to do what Liverpool did, right? Which is sell the player at peak value. You then see them move on elsewhere, and then never hit their same heights.
Yeah, you buy Van Dijk or you buy
and you have the whole plan laid out. But Tottenham Hotspur don't do that. So would you sell Decky for £70 million? Or what is Decky's valuation, absent knowing what we do with the money?
Well, it's got to be looking at a Matthias Tell who's done nothing. That's 50 million, right? Or a Brennan Johnson who's 40.
Yeah, but he's Harrods Tupperware. He's Harrods Tupperware, mate. You know that, don't you? Matthias Tell's Harrods Tupperware, mate.
Honestly, only time will tell if he's any good.
Only time will tell.
I just no. For me, he's got to be £70 million plus.
Yeah, 50 to 60 says checkmate. Checkmate 7 people. I think I don't want to. I think that Decky has such unique value. I'd rather sell Maddison all day long.
Well, that's what I said. That's what I said to you. I'd rather sell Maddison.
Yeah, but Maddison does count as homegrown. I think he counts as homegrown because he must be. He must be homegrown. Not for us, but like in terms of our English quota.
I mean, look, for me, when I think about the players and I think about special players, you know, he's right up there, Kulusevski, and I don't think that he's that he can be.
Johnny, stay there for 1 second. Mate. Can you hold the fort for 2 seconds, mate? Is that okay? Someone's at my door. Just me 1 second.
Okay, listen, I'll play this.
Kulusevski, what a play! Kulusevski, what a play!
I think that says it all. I don't think we should be signing Tell for £50 million. He's got lots of potential. But as you've said there, Archer, right, I would say 20, 25 million and give them, say, 35% of the sell-on clause so that they're not missing out should he progress and move on. But as well as he's playing, he's got a tap-in and a penalty in 23 games, and I think it's 1,200 minutes, something like that, which isn't good enough by anyone's stretch of the imagination. Not for me. No, not for me. And also with Micky Moore, looking like he's going to turn 18 in August. Hopefully the physicality will be ready to play more minutes. You've got Yang, who's on loan at QPR, who's been doing very well. Still physically gets bumped off the ball, Yang, at the moment. So I'm told by my QPR mates.
What are we saying?
I'm just saying, you know, I wouldn't 50 million. You've got Micky Moore, you've got Tell, you've got Son, who'll probably be here till he picks up his pension. But, you know, for me, he's not done enough, Tell. You know, he looked.
You didn't like him last night, or did you?
I'm not saying. I'm saying he played well last night in comparison to how he's played previously. He's looked a lot better, and the whole team looked crap. But Tell and Odegaard were the two best players on the pitch last night.
And does that change your if you could go back to the negotiating table, right?
Yeah,
and get and say to Bayern, like you've said 1,000 times, and I agree with you. Let's do 25 million plus 25%, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Would you be of the idea then that with Sonny, I don't see us selling him, but him, Matisse Tell, Odegaard that looks the business. Even though I was absent, I wasn't able to do any streams. But when we signed Odegaard last summer, I was like, I really liked him at Burnley. I really, really liked him. And obviously we haven't seen too much of him, but what we have seen, I think he's exactly what this system needs. And he's exactly what any front three system needs. If you can develop him into a guy that tracks back and works a little bit harder, like he's not good enough to be the Mo Salah that just sits and just abdicates the throne of defensive responsibility. He's not there, right? But in terms of a player that this system requires you to get back, Brennan Johnson doesn't do it enough. He started to, but hasn't done it, historically. For me, the difference between Brennan Johnson and Odegaard is input versus output. But Odegaard hasn't had the chance to do the output. And last night we saw him have a couple of pot shots. I think he's cracking. And it makes me think that I've been saying for most of the year, Tottenham need 4 or 5 players this summer. A left-sided centre-back / left-back or whatever, full-back, a 6, maybe an 8, and a forward. That forward now doesn't probably need to be someone who can play off the width because I think we have the talent there. And like you say, Jamie Donnelly, Micky Moore, maybe this guy, Bartlett, whatever. These guys are coming through. Plus Yang, right? Like, let's just focus on going and getting a better striker, like a really good striker.
Or a mobile striker. Someone
mobile, really good, like a John David. Exactly. But you can go and get that done. Go and get a monster 6. And I mean, break the fucking bank. Break the bank. If you're going to go and get a club record signing, go and do it in the world of a 6. Because that position, look at Rodri. Look at Manchester City with Rodri and without Rodri. And then tell me why Ange thinks we don't need a 6. Manchester City need a 6. And when they don't have their best 6 in the world, they have 2 or 3 other players that can come in that are not shit shows. They're all good players They're just not Rodri level, and they fall apart.
You listen. You know how bad Ange is. Yet you would still, if you won the trophy, you would still give him next season, knowing full well.
Mate, don't confuse that rhetoric with. Do I disagree with you on anything you say? I don't. I'm just saying. I just base it on the idea of like merit. Merit. That's all I say.
Yeah, but sometimes if you're weighing them up, this one here is so heavy.
Yeah. I
There's
hear you.
so much on. If you're making columns, this column. I mean, just looking at the stats. Forget any comments about the fans and all the shit that's gone on. The Man City rant last season where he attacked the fans and and all the rest of it, and all that's gone on this season. The stupid comments. I don't care. It's who we are. We don't practice set pieces. All of that.
By the way, the only reason I say the meritocracy thing, it's based on the predication that those people who say, and this is at least in the YouTube community, Johnny, and Twitter, the social media space, the weight is all behind Levy out because top four is not a trophy, right? Versus the real world that doesn't feel in the same proportions. If they did, you would see 60,000 people at the protests, not 2,000 or 3,000, right? So the weight of social media attention on Tottenham, the more invested fan, if you like, the more people that spend more of their time are more leaning towards Levy out, etc. Those people are the people that say the top four is not a trophy. Those people that say that success and failure is determined by lifting a cup or not. And therefore, that's why I say on that basis, meritocracy determines. But I believe, I've always said, that your league position is a better determinant of where you are as a football club. And on that basis, I can get on board with the idea of lifting the trophy and sacking the manager because I think that the league position is unforgivable. So I can be on board it. And that's why I say, if we do sack the manager, despite him lifting the trophy, I'm okay with it. I'm more than okay with it. But on the meritocracy of which other people who don't feel the way that I do about what success and failure looks like within Tottenham Hotspur, by their own logic and their own rationale, if you're sacking a manager and you hate an owner and you're marching against them because we don't lift enough trophies, and yet when we do that, you still want the manager sacked and you still want the owner out, that to me is where the dislocation comes from logic and the consistent narrative. And that's where I will always represent the other angle because I don't think it's represented at all in the online space. But on the basis of we finished 17th, yes, he should be fired, regardless of what happens in Europe. Because it's far easier to lift the European trophy, clearly, than it is to have a decent league run. That much is clear.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's who we are, mate. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say anymore about the man. It's just for me. I always look at this one.
What's that? What you do?
I said I don't usually win things. I always win things.
That one. Hang on.
Can't hear anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said I don't usually win things. I always win things. Can you?
Oh, I'm bringing Del Boy in. But do you know what, mate? The last couple of months, right, I've been going through hell with my life, obviously, going through absolute fucking hell. And one of the things that I realised the other day that was part of my normal routine. So I wake up every day, I take the dog for a walk, I come back and I watch Jeremy Vine. And after Jeremy Vine, like, either I forget to change the channel. If I don't put on CNBC and watch the business stuff for the rest of the day, I'll end up going to watch Only Fools and Horses on UK Gold or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what mood you are in. It doesn't matter what shit you're going through. You know, who's died in your life. You stick on an old episode of Only Fools and Horses and everything just becomes like okay again, you know? Everything. And I haven't watched it. That just seeing his face then for 3 seconds made me go, that's what I need to do this afternoon. I need to go and watch a marathon run of Only Fools and Horses. Sensational.
I'm the same. Put it on.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing, my mum had a fantastic sense of humour, but for some unknown reason, she never got Fools and Horses. And I said, I don't understand you. How can you have such a great sense of humour and not really
Was
be
she a London lady?
Yeah, but I just
Wow.
I don't get it. For me, it stands the test of time. Even if I watch one of the first 2 or 3 episodes, you know, I watched the one where Rodney was in the band and he told him he was never going to make it, and he said, "Carnegie Hall, mate. Soddle is where you're going." And then he ends up, he talks him out of the band, they throw him out of the band, and then he's sitting there and he sees them on top of the pops.
Yeah. Amazing. The best one for me is when he goes, so come on, how old is this bird? How old is this bird? I don't know, she's a bit older than me. But how old exactly? She's about 40. What, 40? Well, what's wrong with going out with a lady who's 40? Nothing at all if you happen to be 50. I mean, she's even too old for me, Rodney. And I'll leave it out, and then Grandpa comes in. Well, I'd have to think twice.
There's so many. There's the one in the pub where
Unbelievable.
There's one in the pub, you know, because Grandpa always like goes on about the war, during the war, and all the rest of it. And there's an au pair who's lost, a German au pair who's lost, and they can't understand what she's saying. And Grandpa goes, "What is your name?" I speak German. Let me in. I'll find out. Yeah. What
is your name? Yeah, it's so good.
Trigger.
That guy who wrote that was something Williams.
Sullivan.
Sullivan. He should have been knighted posthumously or whatever, posthumously or whatever the phrase is. Absolutely the funniest program ever written.
Mine. I love Boise, Marlene. Even Marlene was funny. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, it was just genius.
Pub, Dave at the pub.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, the blow up dolls are classic. Uncle Albert, yeah.
Oh, Uncle Albert wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't great. No, hang on a second.
No, it was Uncle Albert. He's right. It was.
I'd have to think twice. That bit.
No, Uncle Albert was the one who said, "What is your name?"
Oh, what is your name? Yeah. But it was Grandad that said, "Well, I'd have to think twice about his girlfriend's age."
Granddad was.
Anyway, guys, listen. We've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Hope you enjoyed it. Have we said anything today? Not really. Have we discussed anything for the first time? Not really. But another disappointing game from Tottenham yesterday. But I don't believe personally it was down to Ange. But I think we can all land on the fact that if Ange does get next season, it's only because of the Champions or because of the qualification for the Champions League via the Europa League. But in either way, we probably secretly want a new manager and Europa League lift.
Can I just say, if you're about Talking Tottenham 1882, if you're on TikTok, I've just started my TikTok account with the same names. Talking
Careful
Tottenham.
on TikTok, mate. You don't want those Chinese getting your
Yeah,
details.
get inside my sliding into my. I don't want these Chinese sliding into my DMs. For those not paranoid,
What is your name?
Talking.
Careful.
I think they probably copied my Talking Tottenham 1882 as we speak, and there'll be a replica.
Yeah. That's what I literally joined TikTok for 3 minutes to set up Spurs Talk Show and find out that someone else has already copied me, already set up Spurs Talk Show, and already using my content to try and monetize it. And I went, oh, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done with it. So we're out. But let me go and
thanks very much for listening to us, and no doubt you'll have to put up with us again soon.
Very soon.
I've got things to do and to move on. Sean, been a pleasure as always, and to everyone that's listened, thank you very much. And no doubt we'll see you soon. Come on, Spurs, and let's look forward to another tonking come Sunday by Liverpool.
Thanks, guys. Please smash the like button. Please hit the subscribe. Get over to Talking Tottenham 1882. Get over to Johnny H3232. Smash the follow on Twitter for Spurs Talk Show, and we'll see you again. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bud.